Hello all and welcome to another ZoidRush video. This week we're going to go back to talking about Riot and all that beautiful, wonderful stuff. Last time I talked about, Riot's decision making and kind of the community's response to it and what I saw good and bad. And before I continue with this video, I just want to say I'm not condoning Riot for any of the ideas they think of and the new and innovative things that they do. If they are not really new and they're seen in other games, I'm not really going into that. But just the fact that they are trying other things and they're not just going right for the, the community says this, so this is what we're going to do. As we do know, though, Riot is a really active company, and Riot usually listens to the company or listens to its people really to a T, in my opinion, especially if it reaches the front page of Reddit, or if it's somewhere on the forums, you have it right there. So, a few things that I want to touch about. First things first, the PvE. I feel like we are still confused about the PvE, and maybe not enough people play the PvE. What do I mean by that? Well, the PvE, there's a lot of stuff on the PvE that gets through on the normal servers, and it seems that I don't know if people complained about it in the PvE, not enough people play a PvE, or how serious Riot takes the PvE. But it seems that a lot of times on the PvE, things are tested and things are released on the PvE, and they're there for quite a while. It's not like it's just like, oh, 2 days on the PvE, oh, okay, we're going live. No, it's probably there for like 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even more, maybe a month, maybe even 2 months, maybe the whole time, maybe that recording system. Hey? Oh, no, I'm just kidding, Riot. I don't care about the recording system, honestly. At this point, we're 5 seasons in, and we don't have a recording system. I'm just going to leave it to that. If you really want to record it, you could either record it through a different program and find your alternatives one way or another. But anyway, no, on a serious note, though, that being said, one of the things that really was on the PvE and was the HUD. And the HUD's been on the PvE for quite some time. New HUD, it was all over the place. We saw pictures of it, everything. How it's going to look, how fancy it is. And it's not like this is anything new. But once it reached live servers, there was a lot of backlash, I felt like. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go too much into the community feedback. But I'm going to focus on the simple fact that the HUD is something that Riot made and something changed right in the middle of the season. It seems kind of confusing. I mean, we're right in the mid-dead season, almost the end of, the summer split or the spring split or whatever you want to call it, or the winter split. And it just seems so confusing that you would innovate something new, put something new into the game this late into the season. This is something like a preseason work. And what do I mean by that is that you could have waited for the preseason to really release this. Now you're like, oh, well, what's wrong with the HUD? Well, a lot of people are complaining everything's to the right. Everything's to the right. My left, your right. But everything's squished to one side. It doesn't really look that good. There's some things that they could have made, and this is what I'm talking about with the PvE. Wasn't people playing the PvE beforehand? Weren't these comments and concerns made before it even reached live servers? And on top of that, the HUD, what I don't understand is why in God's name is a HUD only on normal games and custom games? Whereas in ranked, where most of your pro players and your majority of the players play, if you really just play rank all the time, it's not on there. It's not live. And now you're probably like, well, it's not a big deal. They're just putting out normals and testing it out and all that jazz. But it is for a few things. One, you have the simple fact that you are going to have to play with it in a competitive play in the future. Yes, Crumbs tweeted out that you have to spam normals and spam other games such as customs to get used to the HUD because it will be in competitive play in playoffs. In playoffs, we're going to have it, but it's not even in ranked queue, so you have to spam normals to get used to the HUD. And it is something different. It is important to get used to, and you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but it is. It is a very big deal. Why? Because you have to get used to the placement of things, where your stats are at, how you look at just the scoreboard, where the dragons are, and how many people, how many does the team have for dragons, how many the enemy team have for dragons. A whole different placement. It's not too different, but everything's kind of different. Where your items are at, where your buffs are at, how long till this, that, the timers, everything is important, right? So that, and on top of that, the HUD's getting reworked. And Riot's like, oh, we don't really like the HUD. We don't like what's going on with the HUD. We're gonna rework it. We're gonna make it smaller, condense it a little bit more, change some things around, make it more compatible. And you're just like, God, why, right? So then in the future here, you have them doing all these champion reworks and the itemization reworks, and it seems that I've talked about this a long time ago, is that Riot always wants to change things up and make it new and fresh, which is good. Like I said from the beginning of this video, I'm not condoning Riot for making decisions like that, making things fresh, making it new, making it interesting for one another, right? So, um, that's not a big deal. What I do mind is right in the middle of the season again, you're changing so much, especially before playoffs, especially before, big games, especially before Worlds. And it's not a good idea, especially so late in the game. And one thing I complained about at the beginning of the preseason is you always want to change up the jungle, and that's something that Riot always wants to work and redo and fiddle around with and make new items, and they always do that. And it confuses me. It confuses me to no other because I don't understand why we always have to focus on that area. And I'm not just saying they only focus on the jungle. They focus on a lot of items. But now they're working on bruiser and fighter items, and this is prime time because if you change that in solo queue, you have to play. Usually you have to play like a patch or maybe two patches behind, depending on how Riot decides it and how everything's done. Now, if you're going to rework this and release this in a patch prior to Worlds, think about this. This changes everything. The meta changes automatically. The champion pool changes automatically. Who's in, who's out changes. And you have to adapt to that pretty quickly. And that's more on the pro player side. That's not really a solo queue side. But it is something different. Something that I never understood, that the patches in the playoffs or patches in LCS are always a patch or two behind. And it's hard to adapt. I would figure that the patches should be concurrent to one another. If this is 5.5, 5.15 for us, it should be 5.15 for the people in LCS. But just a little, help out my pro players out there. But another thing that I don't understand is everybody's talking about right now is the champion reworks, and one of them that's a big talk about is Gangplank. And this is really fucking confusing to me, and I don't know why this even happened. But okay, so you got the Bilgewater Act going on. If you're not keeping up with League of Legends, there's this new act going on, a new storyline with TF, Graves, and Gangplank. Good fucking dandy, right? Fantastic. Let's bring it back here. Gangplank recently got a rework, so now it's more hyped up. You got the Bilgewater Act going on, Gangplank's got reworked. It's looking fucking awesome. This is great. He's got barrels you throw down, you parlay, and you eat oranges, you're okay. And that didn't mean to rhyme, but, the cheesiness has to stay in the ZoidRush videos, right? But, so you go into the Bilgewater Act, and all of a sudden Gangplank dies. Gangplank dies, and he's disabled in solo queue, normals. I think you can play him in customs. Dominion, threes. He's pretty much disabled everywhere. Maybe you can't play him in customs. I don't even know. He's dead, he's disabled because of the lore, but you can play him in competitive play. Another thing for my pro players out there. What the heck is going on here? What happens if Gangplank's a strong pick? His rework makes him really good in a team comp, whatever the case may be. And somebody's like a really good Gangplank player. And you can't practice him in a solo queue match. You can't practice him in a custom fives match with your team. And then you have the ability to pick him in LCS. He's not going to be played. He's not going to be played at all. And it just seems ridiculous and insane. And pretty much is a rant, as you can see. Just the ludicrous, the weird, strange ideas that Riot has. And like I said beforehand, I'm not mad. I like how Riot's being, really innovative and new and trying to keep things really fresh so things aren't boring and always switching things up. And they're working on, and they even commented on this, they're working on X, Y, and Z, and not just giving people what they want, which is X. They got new ideas and new things. But I think these are prime times that they really shouldn't change anything. You're messing with a lot of itemization, not just from just a general perspective because you're going to switch everything up in the preseason again, but you're messing with a lot of things. And when the game gets kind of balanced or kind of in the right state of mind, all of a sudden you're like, all right, we got to stretch. This is a new season. We're going to redo some things, right? And I'm just like, why? Why do you do this, Riot? But some of these items and some of these itemizations should wait till the preseason, and I really stress this a lot. And it's just not like I said for the playoffs, but also for solo queue. Like you're changing the whole aspect of the game. You're changing the whole idea of what needs to be built and what needs to be taken away, and especially with the state of the ADCs. My last video was just about that, and now you're going to add new items or rework items, and this could really damage or really help a lot of champions. And I just can't even fathom just how many changes and how many ideas you have. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing bad about that. But the fact that you just want to keep changing things, and it's just at the wrong time, in my opinion, especially at the end of the season. Like, why would you really want to focus and put a lot of time and effort on that? The champion reworks, I understand. You want to rework the champions. You want to get people, the new or the older champions, up to date with the newer client and the newer system that you have going. That's all understandable. But I just don't understand. I just don't understand at all. Especially the HUD thing. When you're like, oh, all right, this is in normals games, but we're not going to put it in ranked. But then you're going to have it in competitive play. But on top of that, we're going to rework it. It just blows my mind, and that's what the PBE is really for, and that's where my original statement comes from. Is that do we not listen to the PBE? Do we not take PBE, for granted? Is there not enough people on the PBE? Do we need more testers? Like, what can make the PBE better for a better testing ground, a better example, a better area where, sure, people won't expect maybe we won't expect everything that's on the PPV to be on live servers ever, like the replay system. I made a joke about that, but in all seriousness, that's fine. But what is going to be live, and I talked about this before, what's going to be live? What do people really need to focus on, test on, so we can see before it even hits live servers? And on top of that, for the people that do see it off of live servers who are not on the PPV and they look up the updates, some people don't look up the updates at all because they want to be surprised, and that's great. That's fine. But for the people that do watch it, they go to surrender20.net or .com or whatever it is, and they see, oh, Fizz is getting a skin and Fiora looks great. Why aren't these comments being added? Like, you're like, oh, Fiora looks like a fucking grandma in her new fucking Musketeer skin. And I'm just like, yeah, she does. Can we fix it so she doesn't look like she's 70 years old? Like, like why do we gotta wait till it comes out on live servers sometimes to fix some things? And like I said, PBE is not gonna catch everything. In my last video, you can go. And like I said, they're not gonna catch everything. And Riot's just not gonna get everything the first time, and that's fine. That's how games work sometimes. You're gonna patch it. You're gonna go in. You're gonna think everything's Gucci, and then you're gonna go to the live servers and you're gonna realize, oh, this is terrible. This is not how it's supposed to work at all. But the last but not least I wanted to talk about is the fucking thing I've complained about for patches and patches ago, and that's when you play the click again button. Yes, right, we're here again, and for some odd reason you just don't want to make me happy. You make me want to rage when I've complained about this, and this was patches ago. And I don't know what it is, if it's just the client or if it's just the button, the reworking system. You said you fixed it. You said it's all fixed and dandy. You click the play again button, it's all good, right? No, it's not good. It's not good at all, actually. You click the play again button and you go to the fucking custom games. Riot, if there's anything you can do to make me happy, me personally happy, it's to fix that button. Because the biggest troll on throughout Twitch and League of Legends is not the players. It's not the Twitch trolls. It's the play again button. When you clearly go to the custom game. And you even had in your patch notes. That's what makes me really sad. But overall, I just wanted to comment really quickly on the community's aspect of things. When the community just seems a little shocked or kind of taken back, I think Riot gets a lot of shit and doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Riot does do a lot of things little things that make us happy and keep us happy and content, and it is good that makes us always have new and exciting things to play and try out, even if though it's not something we asked for. And I like how Riot's being a reactive company, but at the same time is a proactive company. That's really important, really the biggest thing there overall. And yeah, I think that is it for this video. It's a shorter video. I'm surprised. I usually ran for like 20 to 30 minutes, so I condensed it for you guys. Thank you all for the support. If you watched the ZoidRush video, make sure you check out last week's video, which was about the current state of ADCs, which it looks like Riot is looking into that using some of the itemization, which is the biggest thing when it comes to how ADCs are built and how they kind of progress throughout the game, and buffing some champions and nerfing other champions, of course. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next week, every time for a ZoidRush video, every Sunday. So I love you guys. You guys are amazing. And as always, make sure you make your own comment about what Riot needs to do or fix. That would be awesome. Or if you agree with this video, disagree, and leave your comments down below. And I will see you guys next week. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.